Luke says, I was just wondering, who do you guys think had the opportunity to be a major player in the world of wrestling, but for one reason or another, it never amounted to anything? I've got my own thoughts on it, and that is Monty Brown.
Who is this?
Luke says this.
Luke, you're full of shit. That's your opinion, and everybody's got one. No, I do agree with you. Monty Brown should have been a bigger star than what he was, because not only could he was a former football player and played for 2 or 3 NFL teams. I think he played for 2 teams, and he was in the league for about, I think, 3 or 4 years. Great athlete, and very good on the mic. So he knew what he wanted to do, and I think if he'd and he went to WWF, I guess, but he just they put some kind of gimmick on him that didn't fit him. If they just let him be Monty Brown, he'd have been fine. But
Well,
they
shoved him
didn't.
in that. They shoved him in the ECW, the WWE ECW thing, and then after a few months, there was a family situation. I think maybe his sister died, and he went to go look after her kids, or something like that, and just left the business, and that was that.
I do know that it was something with his sister, and he went up there, and good for him, because you had kids involved that needed guidance, they needed support, they needed somebody to, to feed them, to get them a place to live. So he went up there, and I'll say that that's a good deed on his part. They weren't his kids; it was his sister's kids, but he still related to them. So, and I don't think he was happy in WWE anyway, because it didn't do anything with him. I mean, when he was with that ECW offshoot, I could have told him right then, no, they didn't. See, they had ECW doing the thing that the center in Orlando does now, the Performance Center. They had actual territories trying to train these guys, but they had no control over what they were learning. At least in the Performance Center, they have control over what they're learning. But to me, this is it. I think if you go to Performance Center, if you haven't advanced enough in a year to bring you up, you need to give it up. I think it don't take you that long to learn it. But for them to go up, you know what that means? That means somebody has to leave. And they just keep the status quo. And if the people will continue, and they don't pay them hardly anything. I think they pay them. They used to pay them $500 a week. It may have gone up now, but 500. Then you got to go. This is it. This is what I got against the Performance Center. It's a training school. I got that, but to go in there and take bumps every day in front of just the other guys, it gets boring as hell. Plus, it hurts more. Now, if you're in front of a crowd, you get the adrenaline from the crowd. You don't feel the bumps. I mean, you feel them later, but if nobody's cheering you on, nobody's getting excited, nobody's doing nothing, and they say, "Oh, well, let's take some bumps, guys." You start paying attention to them, and let's face it, you only got so many bumps in you anyway. So if you're in a situation and you're not making any money anyway, go out and try something else, or go to another organization, or do something. But what they do, they put them on the 3-year contracts, and they can't get out, I guess. I mean, if I was on a contract and I wanted to leave, and even if I went in there and told them I wanted to finish up or something, and they said, no, you can't do that. I said, well, watch me. And you know what I'd do? My little ass would just do a no-show. And I said, keep your money. I'm going to go here and work this construction job so I can eat. So now, years ago, they could keep you. They didn't pay anything. They didn't guarantee anything. You ever heard about those contracts?
Yep, 10 dates for $150 a shot.
Oh,
You're
I got
guaranteed
more.
$1,500 a year.
That's it. And then if you wanted to leave, they would tell you, well, we got you under contract. By that time, you were so broke, you couldn't even hire a lawyer to fight it. You'd have to you'd have to go get a pro bono lawyer to, and they had the upper hand, and they knew they had the upper hand. So, and they ran it like a, I'm gonna send you a picture to Vince, of Vince, and you'll know exactly what the picture is when you see it and what I'm talking about. They ran it like it's my way or the highway. But even when you took the highway, they'd still want to mess with you. And that was Vince not getting shown up.
So one of the few people that Vince actually sort of didn't screw over contractually wise was Monty Brown, as we discussed before. We were talking off air before we started recording this about another name that you said has even more potential that's not been realised as of yet that you wanted to nominate.
Well, I'm thinking about a couple that should have been bigger stars. Brad Armstrong is one. Now, he wasn't a big guy, but man, he could do everything except talk. But they could have put somebody with him. But in the ring, he was tremendous. Here's another guy that just left NWA. If there is, I guess there's some, Billy Corgan has it, is Nick Aldis. I think Nick Aldis, he has the size, he has the look, and he has everything to be a world champion. I don't think the world champion needs to be the greatest worker. He just has to have good timing. And basically, this dude, Harley Race wasn't the greatest worker. You know, Nick Bockwinkel wasn't the greatest worker. A lot of guys. Harley Race wasn't either, but they could perform and they could work with anybody. I think Nick Aldis could do that. And when he dresses up, he does look like he's worth something. Good talker. I like him.
I'm going to give you one
and
that I know you won't have.
There's one more, Dutch Mantell.
Of course.
I don't think they used him to maybe 20% of his potential. I just wanted to bring that up.
I think Paul Burchell's one. And I know you don't, you never worked with Paul Burchell, but I thought just WWE, when he finally got there, they absolutely crapped the bed on him. Because, I mean, he had, a good size to him. He could do standing shooting style presses. He was a very impressive athlete. And they gave him a pirate character, and then they gave him a sister who, in storyline, he was sleeping with. And then he just disappeared from wrestling altogether pretty much after that. So,
I don't think you've ever heard this, but I think he had a beef with Burchill. And why would he put him? He knew he was killing him when he gave it to him. Vince, this is a Vince idea.
Oh God, yeah.
And the incest idea that sounds like classic Vince McMahon, and he will kill that character off in 2 weeks.
He tried to do an incest character angle with Stephanie, where she was bearing his child, apparently. And everybody cut it off before it could ever make it to TV. But he wanted to do it. I mean, this is just one weird Vince McMahon fantasy that he's sort of putting out on TV.
But if he wanted to do that on, what were they on, USA? By in those days?
Oh, whatever they're on, yeah.
They wouldn't have let him do that. They would have cut him off. Don't even try it on Fox. Because at least some of the TV stations have retained a bit of morality, and that couldn't happen. But you can't say that didn't come directly from Vince himself. Because like I'm saying, if he has a bitch for them, he don't have to get rid of them. They get rid of themselves, because then it becomes embarrassing for them to show up. It's terrible. It really is.